Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is Wednesday here in Las Vegas at 7 p.m. Pacific time. My goodness gracious, we want to welcome each and every one of you tuning into yet another episode of Thoughts Count Anywhere. I'm Aaron. That's Scott. That's Matt. That's Johnny. And we are known as the Four Thoughtsmen. Yes, I said it, ladies and gentlemen. The Four Thoughtsmen. Yes, I did say it. Listen, I'm a professional. Do not try this at home, okay? Guys, how are we doing this week?
You should trademark that.
I should. Yes, hashtag it. Four Thoughtsmen. It's going to be our hashtag. Guys, how are we doing this week?
I want a nickel anytime somebody other than us says
Get right in that mic. I don't think anybody can hear there, Johnny.
Ah.
There you are, buddy. You want a nickel every time everybody says that?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I think that, and anytime anybody uses the hashtag would be funny as all get out.
I honestly don't think anybody would ever have a problem hearing me.
So, guys, what's going on?
Oh, man. It's kind of a slow news week in the wrestling world.
Is it really?
I mean, we have some stories. Don't get me wrong. We have some stories.
Yes, we do.
You know, nothing near as incendiary or mind-blowing as the last couple of weeks, though.
Why is that?
Well, where do you want to start us off? Where do you want to start off?
I'll tell you what. First, before we start off anything officially, I think what we should do, and many people out there may not know that Scott is a first responder. Not only is he the proprietor of our home here. Hi, guys. You guys can come in. You guys can come in. We got people walking by here. We are live from Power Play Sports in the Boulevard Mall. Scott Hosey, the owner right behind me, is kind enough and probably foolish enough to let us do our show from here. But that's why we like him. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. But before we get serious and start talking about wrestling news, I think we really should get a little melancholy. Today is the 19 years ago from September 11th, the actual
18.
18?
18.
18 years, right. 2001. Yeah, my math. I'm teaching new math now and we can't add. So anyway, 18 years. Listen, the obvious question I want to ask you guys, and Scott, we'll start with you since you're right over my shoulder. Where were you when the morning news broke that prior to 6 a.m. here in Vegas time when they started showing the feeds of what the heck was going on?
I was getting ready to respond to work and turned on the TV. And unfortunately, I then immediately called my mom at that time, and she picked up the phone and said, "You didn't forget my birthday."
Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
So she was born today. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
I really think that we should give a thumbs up and a loving response to all the first responders and families and those who we lost, because we seem to forget that thousands of mothers, fathers, parents, children all died unnecessarily at that day. And unfortunately, sometimes I think we forget, here in the U.S. what we have and the freedoms and the benefits we have. And I really think we should, just take a moment and say thank you to everyone out there. Even if you're not a first responder, somebody who has, dedicated their time to rebuilding New York or the Pentagon, and even the people, unfortunately, that lost their lives in the field in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
What about you, Aaron? Where were you?
Where was I? It was about 10 to 6 a.m. I was getting my daughters ready for school, and my wife, who's an educator, she was in the classroom at the time. She was just stepping out of the shower. And I turned on the local news channel, which I rarely do because I usually just go right to sports. I don't, the bylines and everything. Yeah. And I was standing there watching the first tower get hit, and I was just like, I could not believe what I saw. I was just like, really? I'm like rubbing my eyes like it was a dream, you just can't believe. And just as the second one was about to hit, I yelled upstairs to my wife. I said, "You better get out of the shower. You're not going to believe what I just saw on TV." And she came out. It was like the world stopped. The world stopped. My wife had a meeting off-site, and when the event happened, they stopped the meeting immediately and sent everybody back to the classrooms, to the schools, to be there in support for those at school to try to explain just what the heck happened. So her whole day went from educator to support, from a standpoint of trying to just help the kids understand what was going on.
Never in history did anything like that happen on American soil.
No, it was the first time. Yeah. Through 3,000, right? 3,000 lives in general, roughly.
I mean, the only thing that could compare to that before then was Pearl Harbor, right?
Probably. That's a great point. That's a great point. And that wasn't on the mainland, but yes, I mean, Pearl Harbor, I agree there. I agree with that. Matt, how about you?
I was getting ready for school and happened to turn on the news and saw what was going on. as I was like getting ready, I saw the second plane go into the second plane go in the second tower. And once I got to school, every class was just watching the news. And around noon, word got out that our teacher, Miss Edwards, was in the plane that hit the Pentagon.
Oh,
So our school was like devastated.
and what school did you go
beyond belief.
to?
Palo Verde.
That's right. That's right. I was okay.
They
Gotcha.
still honor her every year, which is awesome.
They did that today again.
Yeah. That was rough. She was such a nice teacher. She was my German teacher the year before. And like once you had her class, no matter like what you did, you'd always still go visit her. She was like the coolest person. Rest
Johnny?
in peace.
9/11 actually was a little extra traumatic for me.
Mhm.
I had just gotten off a stint in the Air Force. And I was living in Portland, Oregon at the time with my uncle. And I remember my uncle had woken me up and he's like, Johnny, you gotta just stay calm. They blew up the Pentagon. And of course I'm freaking out because my father's a 30-year Army vet and he was working at the Pentagon at the time.
Oh, wow.
And, we didn't hear from Dad for majority of the day. And I remember I watched the news up until I had to go into work. I went into work. I was working in a car lot at the time. And nobody came to buy cars that day.
Mhm.
We were all huddled around the TV at work. And, eventually, like, still no word from my dad for any of my family for majority of the day. Finally, we heard from him around 6:00 in the evening, saying, "Hey, I've been here on site recovering." My dad's office was actually destroyed. Like it was
Oh,
it was in the Army section of the Pentagon. The only reason my dad wasn't there when the plane hit is because he was at Fort Lee, Virginia, and an old friend of him, from the Sergeant's Major Academy, invited him out for breakfast. So
Thank God for that.
yeah, just angels on somebody's shoulders right there. And like I said, my father was okay. He was there on site at the Pentagon helping folks out. And it was just a crazy day for me. And then, within the year I had reenlisted in the United States Army, and, the rest was history. I did my tours in Iraq, and, I did what I had to do for this country.
And we thank you for that. We thank you and all the
Absolutely.
military,
Thank you for your
past, present,
service.
EMTs, first responders. Somebody today on my Facebook feed, they found a file of some of those pictures, people covered in the dust and this fire coming out. And, I was looking through them and it brought back the chills again from that day. Like I was reliving
Yeah.
it again. Those images, for many of us, are burned in our memories forever. And it's now part of history that kids today who are obviously under the age of 18 are learning about. Because once that happened, our life as normal, whatever that word is, drastically changed. It redefined the word normal for us once we started getting our feet back under us as a nation, as a city in New York. Ironically, the Mets and Yankees were playing that night, New York teams playing that night,
Yeah.
or a couple of nights later when they suspended all baseball for a day or two. It was chilling to see those pictures again.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, heck, even relating to wrestling, I still remember seeing that first SmackDown
Oh, yes.
after 9/11. Like the WWE were the first ones to take that step and do an assembled live event.
Right on.
And I just remembered watching that and just the amount of just like, even as a wrestling fan, just seeing, everybody up there on that ramp, big tough men in tears,
That's a great point that they were one of the first organizations after the event because football was suspended. Obviously,
Football's-
baseball
yeah.
was for a couple of days. Crazy situation. So I ask those that are in the chat room or in the watch party right now, why don't you drop into the chat box where you were? Share your memory or your thoughts of September 11th. We'd love to share them. Paul Eubanks is out there. Long time no hear, Paul. He's a big wrestling guy from the Midwest. I've interviewed him in the past. Actually, he was a former wrestler in the ring. So,
nice.
Paul, nice to see you out there, buddy. I'm glad you're doing good things. And everybody that's out there, I see Rita Tiffort's out there all the way from New Jersey, family friend of mine. We got some Vegas people in there, so people are joining in. So please reshare this feed to your wall so your friends can see us as well. And like our Facebook page under the same name, Thoughts Count Anywhere. And just drop in your comments. We'd love to see what your thoughts are. And Kim Fishburne's out there saying hi to everybody. So we thank you. So we're getting them, guys. We're getting them. All right. So let's leave those thoughts for September 11th. Let's talk about the more current events
Right.
in the world of professional wrestling. So what do we have first up there? Matt, you got the thing. You got the sheet in front of you.
How about the King of the Ring?
King of the Ring. Okay.
Kill a pay-per-view.
It's not even the pay-per-view anymore. That's what's killing me. It's so the latest news is that the King of the Ring finals has been bumped to Raw instead of the pay-per-view this weekend. Yet we still got Eric Rowan versus Roman Reigns, of a feud in which I could not be even further less invested in. Like Clash of Champions is a pay-per-view for the champions. I get it. You can't have everybody on the card. But would it kill them to let Roman have a pay-per-view off and actually put a match that means something in there?
This seemed very rushed, didn't it?
Well, the King of the Ring didn't seem rushed exactly. It seemed pretty well.
No, but
planned.
Rowans and Eric Rowan and
I'm
Reigns and
I'm not invested in that feud at all.
yeah.
Yet, I mean, when you think of the King of the Ring finals, to my knowledge, they've always done that at a pay-per-view.
I believe you're right. I didn't even realize they took it off the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they announced it like literally as an afterthought on SmackDown yesterday.
Wow.
The announcers have been building it up so high that all the Hall of Famers have won this. It's basically like a championship, so it should be on Clash of Champions. So it kind of just buried the whole thing right off the bat.
Especially with what's at stake for winning for winning the finals.
Yeah.
Right? You have a title shot coming up.
Well,
right?
not necessarily. You're just elevated.
Well, you're elevated,
They
but
never specifically said you get a title shot.
right.
But a lot of King of the Ring winners have gone on to win big gold.
Well, it's just like the Hall of Fame. You have your named true Hall of Famers, and then they throw somebody in there that everybody goes, "What?"
Coco Beware. Coco Beware.
You know what? I love Coco Beware.
Great gimmick, but Hall of Famer, you don't think
do
that.
not besmirch the name of the Birdman in my presence.
My
okay?
goodness.
Do you know his actual last name is Ware? I was like, that's really cool.
But realistically, you have Harley Race,
Yeah.
you have Stone Cold, you have Triple H.
There's some big names.
Absolutely. And then you come up with Byron Corbin.
Baron Corbin.
The Baron. For some reason,
Constable Baron Corbin.
it's right, and
Soon to
GM.
be
right?
all hail King Corbin.
King Corbin.
I just want
That was my
to.
pick.
I just want to share that
was your pick.
Kim, who's watching, shared her 9/11 the day that it happened. Her oldest son was 7 months old on 9/11. She's a single mom, and she was totally alone, and she was totally terrified with what was going on that day.
It was a terrifying day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think all of us were a little terrified. You're not alone.
Yeah, great.
Definitely.
Absolutely said. Going back, for some reason, Vince McMahon has a love affair with Baron Corbin. Oh, we have someone here in the studio who was actually at the Pentagon the day of September 11th.
Wow.
Here in the studio, in the store, Power Play Sports. I'm all over the place. I'm in so many studios. Every place is a studio. My home is a studio. 12 studios. I don't know.
Everywhere.
Anyway, but Vince McMahon has his love affair with Baron Corbin.
You know why? Because here's the thing: Baron Corbin he fills a role. I mean, I really like the way they're using Baron Corbin. He's that guy you love to hate.
But he doesn't put butts in seats.
But I would pay
Good
money.
heel puts butts in seats.
I think with the right management, he could. I think the King of the Ring could be just
Impact. That's where he needs to go.
We'll talk about Impact later.
Nobody deserves that.
Wait.
Deserves it.
We can make a trade, and I'm sure somebody here in the studio would agree. Release somebody, and we'll give him Corbin.
Okay. If
I
you're,
second that.
if
All right.
you're
you
referring
win.
to Killer Cross, I would take that trade. Free Killer Cross.
We're going to start a chant here in the store.
Hashtag free Killer Cross. What they're doing is obviously uncool. I know he's got a contract, and supposedly because he didn't blade at that last event, their whole, whatever. But it's such a miscarriage of justice what they're doing to Kevin, and hopefully he'll have his time, he'll have his opportunity, and hopefully at some point when all that happens, we'll actually hear it straight from the horse's mouth somewhere down the line. Hopefully,
it sounds like the guy
So-
just needs a platform, and we're a platform.
yeah, absolutely. What other things from the show kind of stood out this past weekend of Raw and SmackDown? What stood out to you guys?
He may not win a lot, but Andrade is one of the best workers on SmackDown. That match he had with The Miz made Miz look like a superstar.
Okay,
That
yeah,
was a really
he's good.
match.
Seriously, I am so high on Andrade these days. Like, there's nothing. I want to see that guy do great things. I loved his run as NXT champion. I've pretty much been a fan of his since he came to the company, even when he was dissatisfied and was just kind of phoning it in. But when they put that NXT championship on him, he really took it up a notch and became a 5-star match machine. He's very quietly carrying that onto the main roster. He doesn't, he's not really putting himself out there a lot, but if you watch his matches, he's one of the literally the most enjoyable people to watch in WWE.
Well, if you talk about carrying a brand right now, I would say the 4 horsewomen had a great match, in my opinion. And needless to say, they're carrying the organization.
Yeah, and they're going to basically face off against each other in 2 separate, obviously, singles matches, right? This Sunday, right?
Yep.
So all 4 will be in action this weekend. Norfolk, Virginia's checked in, by the way. My daughter Stacy's actually watching us back. She's obviously very bored right now, 3 hours ahead, because she's watching her dad and his friends on the podcast
10
right
to 15 at night.
Yeah, well, she works for Old Dominion University, so I can't keep my thumb on her forever.
So Aaron, do you think with the current landscape of where the 4 horsewomen are at, do you think that this could be a potential Charlotte face turn with the way they're booking her?
The thing with Charlotte, I think we'd all agree, she is probably better as a heel.
She's way better as a heel.
And I think we've seen that in the past. But would they flip her because of Sasha coming in now as a heel and the potential throw of Bayley becoming a heel?
Well, they're really trying to straddle the line with Bayley.
Right.
She hasn't gone full heel yet, but she's doing heel things.
Right.
And she's hanging out with a heel.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to turn Charlotte in this match. In this card, I just don't see it coming this weekend.
You don't see a full-on double turn?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Mm-mm.
Has anybody seen, and I have, the commercials for SmackDown on Raw?
Yes.
Or on Fox, excuse me.
I believe I have, yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't see anything around Becky's waist.
Well, they usually don't.
Dun, dun,
I mean,
dun.
I don't.
I think those are just generic cuts.
Yeah, they don't pre-tape SmackDown or Raw, or very rarely do they pre-tape them anymore. So I don't think that really speaks to much. I don't think anybody had the belt on.
But if you look at some of the faces in that commercial, supposedly some of them are spoilers, because now they're going to be doing a potential draft, roster thing again. But this time they're supposedly going to keep those roster spots, no wild card stuff. Once you're named to a roster, you're there.
Yeah.
So
They
some
do
of
that every year.
yeah, but this time they have Fox,
Sure.
kind of dictating maybe just a little bit about what they're doing.
And now we have a third brand.
Right, NXT, it looks like it's going to be, and 205 Live seems to be.
Actually, yeah, Triple H actually officially confirmed that 205 Live is being folded into
NXT.
The Cruiserweight Championship is going to be pretty much exclusive to the NXT brand.
Right.
Oh, wow. I didn't
yeah.
even hear that yet.
Yeah, that just
What?
broke
We
today.
scooped Matt?
That
I
broke
can't believe we
today.
scooped Matt.
We scooped Matt, yeah.
But you know what, though? It's kind of interesting because you see that happening. The landscape of wrestling is changing.
Mhm.
I don't think 205 Live really had a good long-term plan. But what's interesting, and after Kevin Owens was fired last night, he put out a tweet out there last night that was very cryptic in that he put 3 numbers. I don't know if you guys saw his message. He put 3 numbers in his tweet that actually correlated to 3 letters. NXT. So it'd be interesting to see who from Raw and SmackDown is going to get moved to NXT because of now television and it being its own brand.
Honestly, I think it's a great move. I think Kevin Owens, I mean, he was a great NXT champion, and I have no problem with some of the lesser used main roster talent filtering over to NXT.
I've heard Cesaro's name be part of that.
Cesaro would be a great addition as well. Bring EC3 back. Free EC3. EC free.
EC free. I like that. What other things stood out on Raw and SmackDown? How about Seth and Becky? It's not on SmackDown, but they both were on the cover of, was it
Muscle and Fitness.
Muscle and Fitness this past issue? Is that the first time that a pair has been on from WWE? I'm thinking if Triple H and Stephanie were ever on together. Were they on a cover?
I know Triple H has been on like 5 or 6.
Triple H has
Right.
been
I
on
don't know.
both.
And
if
Vince
Stephanie-
even. Vince has been on it. But I'm wondering if Stephanie and Trip ever was on the
Brock
cover.
and Sable ever on there?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't remember. If anybody knows, drop it in there. We'd love to
Yeah.
know just to confirm our suspicions.
I mean, do I look like a guy who reads Muscle and Fitness?
Yeah, sure, you do curls with it, don't you? Right? You do little curls
You
with
look for the
it. so-
coupons in the back, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. He just
Those
buys
are
it for
free
the.
beer.
That's right.
Right.
Levels the table out for him. All right. So, all right. So while we're talking about this, why don't we go into some of the matches for Sunday anyway? We're kind of alluding to Sunday. You guys want to talk about some of the matches for Sunday?
Yeah.
All right. Clash of Champions. You have it on bigger, Scott?
Well, let's talk about the main event, in my opinion, or the double main event. You have the tag champs defending the belt and then facing off against each other.
Not happy about it.
Please,
Why not?
please explain. Let's go dig
Well-
deep into that.
Well, for the last 2 weeks, I've been saying how upset and pointless it was to take the belts off of Gallows and Anderson. And true to form, that storyline has really gone nowhere. It hasn't helped Braun. It hasn't helped Seth. It hasn't helped either of them. They could have just had their title match without having the tag belts. Now they're pulling double duty and they're taking a payday away from a deserving tag team. Now you got guys like Gallows and Anderson or the Viking Raiders or even the Street Profits sitting at home doing nothing. Instead, we got this ham-fisted, thrown-together tag team of Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, which had no build-up, no history. If I were Gallows and Anderson and I were the Viking Raiders and I were an established tag team, I'd be pretty pissed off.
It is an interesting storyline.
That's just it. It's not an interesting.
Well,
it's not
facetiously, yeah.
You know, it's not an interesting storyline at all. They could have kept the belts on Gallows and Anderson and built something around them.
I'd love to see that.
What's that? To have Gallows and Anderson still have the belts?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't like that Strowman and Rollins are tag champs because
It's led to nothing.
it's led to absolutely nothing. And almost guarantee they're going to lose the tag belts just to wrap up the main event a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else is going on? What's the next match you want to talk about? Oh, so do we want to give a prediction on that? We want to give predictions as we go through these?
Mm.
We both, I think we all agree that Anderson and Gallows will probably recapture the tag titles.
Eventually, but they're not even in it.
So
Ziggler and Rude
Oh,
against
Ziggler and Rude. That's right. They had that. Okay. So do you think those guys will it come off of Strowman and Rollins because they're going to go at it for the Universal title?
Yeah, I think they're going to lose the tag belts.
You know, I'm going to say they're going to keep them because it might just add a little bit.
I agree with Johnny. I think they're going to keep it and play off that storyline a little bit more. Get some mileage out of it. That's something that WWE has not done. But Paul Heyman, who is running WWE, has been known for extending storylines.
And I kind of like that because one of my biggest criticisms about WWE in the last 5 years or so is that a lot of the storylines seem very rushed and they don't take the time to develop anything. It's just, hey, you don't like this guy. This guy doesn't like you. You're in a feud.
And
Why
in the
don't
main
you-
event at the end of the 8 o'clock hour, they're in a cage match.
Yeah, exactly. It's like whereas
Just
like,
so happen to have the cage hanging from
whereas like
above.
I grew up like in the the new era and then the Attitude Era and all that, and like I remember like God, they built to Stone Cold versus Bret Hart for almost 2 years before it actually happened. And then when it was happening, it happened like it was a long feud.
Mm-hmm.
It was a feud that built and we wanted to see it happen. Now it's like, oh, these guys just don't like each other for like 2 months. And then, oh, let's have one of them do a turn and now they're friends. Now they're a tag team. It's like, and literally allegiance, people will go through like 5 heel face turns or allegiance turns
Mm-hmm.
in the span of like 2 years.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
the Big Show is notorious for that.
They've forgotten how to write storylines, in my opinion. They don't have the wrestlers writing them. They have Hollywood script writers doing it. And bringing Paul back into the mix, I think, will help them. The storylines used to, and, we have a guest over, sitting behind the counter there, Chief, who's a longtime wrestling fan. Feuds used to last months, years even. I mean, Dusty and Flair.
Steamboat and Flair.
Yeah, I mean, Sting and Flair. I mean, Flair seemed to, get a lot of run there, but, Nick Bockwinkel versus Vern Gagne went on for a century.
Yeah.
I wish we had live access to a Twitter feed right now because, like they say on one of the sports shows, let's put this on a poll. Let's put this on a poll on Twitter. Let's see what people think.
Put the belt on a pole.
That's a match. I'm not talking about a match.
That's some Vince Russo crap right there.
So I would love to know our listeners if they would put in the chat room what their favorite feud of all time has been for our wrestling fans out there. And those who are even on the peripheral who aren't hardcore fans, but they know enough about wrestling. I would love to know what our fans think were some of the best feuds between wrestlers over the years have been and what they'd like. So please drop that into the chat room. We'd love to share. You're listening to Thoughts Count Anywhere, coming to you live from the Boulevard Mall, specifically from the wonderful sports collectible store here in the mall, Power Play Sports Collectibles, which, by the way, do you guys have the card about a signing that's happening? When do you guys share that?
This Saturday, the Power Play Sports is going to have a sports card and collectible show headlined by the autograph guest of our wonderful Golden Knights, Braden McNabb.
Greatest name in hockey.
He'll be here 4 to 6 p.m. Tickets are still on sale, either at the store or online at powerplaysportscards.com.
You did that wonderfully.
That was wow.
I should have you come to one of the shows sometime.
Shout out to Electra, a new fan of ours. She just joined us here. She's watching us in the chat room as well. Everybody that's watching, please reshare this direct to your wall so that everybody else can enjoy it on your friends list as well. So we want to know your favorite feud of all time and where were you on September 11th, 18 years ago? Those are some of the things we want to get your thoughts on. And of course, if you miss any part of the show, want to watch it or tell your friend about it, or you want to listen again to something that we're chatting about, where can they find our podcast, Mr. Matt?
We are on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, about to be on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher,
Spotify.
Which you said, right?
Oh,
I did say Spotify.
Yep.
We're on there twice now.
SoundCloud. Yeah. SoundCloud, did you say?
SoundCloud also.
Okay, and are we still uploading the videos up to YouTube? Have we got that started yet?
Working on.
Okay, we have to create a
As
channel,
soon as I
right?
can figure out how to save you Facebook videos.
I'll show you. It's real simple.
Oh, okay.
It's real simple. You just hit the download. I'll show you later.
Right click, download.
Works in progress.
No, I'll show it to you. But
There's
eventually,
about
we'll
to be technical difficulties. Someone's going to get hit with this belt in a second.
just so it's not my right arm. You can use the left. You can do the left side, not the right side, and I would deserve it.
Well, let me mention feud. You said that. I don't know how many people remember. It was not very long, but my first experience into pro wrestling was back in the I'd say late 70s, early 80s, and Tommy Rich, Buzz Sawyer.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. That's a deep cut right there.
Deep cut, right, yeah. The last Battle of Atlanta, for those who remember the Superstation and Georgia Championship
Oh,
Wrestling.
yeah. Vince, what's his name? Gordon Soley?
Oh,
Hey,
brilliant,
something came up on my newsfeed, which I think was a great rivalry back in the day. How about Larry Zbyszko and Bruno Sammartino?
Oh yeah.
Remember that one? And I watched on
That's-
television when Zbyszko clobbered him with that chair and turned on him that night.
Mm.
That went on for a long time. That was a classic one. And
Very true.
and Zbyszko's whole profile changed after that.
The main eventer right after that.
Yeah, right away. So a good heel turn also elevates people to main event status, not just to change a character,
I
which
feel-
sometimes you have to do to get rid of the stagnation of their current character.
I think
Hogan
one of
who?
Yeah, that's right.
I think one of my
Hollywood.
I think one of my favorite feuds. It's it's way more recent than the two you just brought up, but they revisit every couple of years, but the matches are always like even the Saudi Arabia match,
Mhm.
which was supposed to be like the final nail in this rivalry. But I've always really enjoyed when Randy Orton and Triple H get together. Like they always, like,
Oh yeah,
they've always had really good from the end of Evolution
Right.
to the rise of Legacy to when Randy was just like punt kicking everybody.
hmm
When I remember that one like where he had Triple H handcuffed to the ropes and he just plants one on Stephanie and then
hmm
just the whole like they just then like there was that like angle where Triple H went to Randy's house and like kicked the crap out of like all his furniture and just broke everything. It was-
I just want to give a quick shout out to Jimmy Denning, who's currently watching us. He is one of the lead guys in a show here in town called The Tenors of Rock.
Oh, wow.
So if you haven't
I've
seen that,
show. Wonderful.
yeah.
I actually have free tickets to that I need to find in my house somewhere.
Well, I had the pleasure of interviewing Jimmy and meeting him a few months back on Twin Brothers, my other podcast, one of 4 podcasts now I'm involved with, which is
wow.
great. So, but anyway, yeah. So, Jimmy, thank you for watching. Please reshare us, and great to see you out there enjoying what we're doing. And I know you're a big fighter, MMA kind of guy. So, I'd love to know what your favorite rivalry in the fighting world has been in the past, Jimmy. So, shoot that into the chat room if you would. Love to share that with our audience. Anyway, so and listen, want to thank everybody for tuning in. I mean, taking time out of their evening, no matter where you are across the country, because of the 3-hour time change. Thank you for joining us this week. Anyway, feuds. That's what we want to know. Listen, was there anything better in the Attitude Era? Stone Cold and The Rock,
Stone Cold the Rock.
right?
is
I mean,
great.
that has to rank up there. And I think one of the best matches was when Rock and Hogan, what was it, WrestleMania 18 or something, whatever it was,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
when they had that, the crowd just didn't know which way to go. and-
Icon versus Icon.
yeah, that was tremendous.
That was not really a feud, but just that match was just
Yeah, you're right. It was a
electric. I mean, You just said, "Oh, we're going to put The Rock against Hulk Hogan." You didn't even need a feud there. You didn't even need a rivalry. People wanted to see that. They're like, it was literally the passing of the torch. And they could have given that match to Stone Cold. They could have given that match to Triple H. But no, they tagged Rock and said, "You are the guy."
Right.
In this icon versus icon. And then they did the same thing, almost 10 years later with John Cena versus The Rock. It's literally the passing of torches.
Right. Right.
So, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who will step up to take that torch from John Cena one day.
I'll never forget that Fruity Pebbles had such a whole different meaning for me
Pebbles.
during that feud with Cena and Rock.
Well, you got a cereal deal out of it.
Right, exactly. Not just Bootios, but you would think, right? Crazy.
Well, talking about feuds, I'm the old school type. One feud that got wrestling in the mainstream is Andy Kaufman
Yeah.
and Jerry
and
Lawler.
Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
when he slapped him out of the chair on Letterman?
Yep.
And for years,
The neck
it
brace.
was a work, and both characters kept it under wraps
Mhm.
until Mr. Kaufman passed away.
Right. Jim
And-
Carrey was crazy. He lived Andy Kaufman
Oh,
off
he
camera.
went
He
full method on that.
crazy
Yeah.
good.
I remember Andy Kaufman was before my time, but I remember growing up on stories of that guy, and I love Andy Kaufman, everything he did. He
Right.
was so just danced to the beat of his own drum and didn't care what anybody else thinks. He was not trying to make people laugh. He was trying to get reactions out of people. And I've always thought that, that's not a typical comedian, but that is definitely entertainment.
But when we talk about feuds, a lot of feuds that we talk about nowadays are very short-lived.
Yeah.
Another feud that I enjoyed was Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard.
No,
Oh wow. Forget about that one because it was in that other organization.
The infamous I Quit match that
Right?
never had an I Quit.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a great match.
hey, The Rock and Mankind did that time. It was pre-recorded.
I was just gonna say, I was saying the same thing. Did they have that?
One of my
no?
favorite feuds when I was younger was the NWO against Sting.
Oh yeah.
But then Sting had to go and join the NWO. I was like,
Everybody joined the NWO at one
right.
time.
I
That's
think
right.
that's when I started really turning on the whole NWO. I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, really?
They come out and there's 30 freaking members.
It's like, oh,
of
great.
them.
Dennis Rodman's in the NWO.
Right,
now.
exactly. Hey, one other match I want to mention, a couple others real quickly, and then we'll move on. Nakamura and Miz. I mean, it almost seems a little out of. I understand the storyline, I understand how they got there, but Nakamura was dead and buried for months. We hadn't seen him on a couple of pay-per-views to even defend the Intercontinental title, which is besmirching the title when
Well,
you don't have that
he
on there.
Let's face it, he did just win it, and since he's won it, he's been more relevant. But before he won it, I mean, he went from being in a useless tag team with Rusev to not being on TV to just showing up out of nowhere to win the IC title and off of Finn Balor, and I thought that was a great move.
And having Sami Zayn out with him as his mouth, I
Mhm.
thought was a great pairing, but they seem to have gone away from that.
Actually, they haven't gone away from him. He's still listed. Sammy's still listed as being in Nakamura's corner on all the promotional material. For
Okay,
when they
for
show
Sunday.
when they show the graphic for Sunday, you see Nakamura and you see Sami
Gotcha.
Zayn behind him like a mastermind. But I thought it was really interesting the way they used Nakamura during that Andrade Miz match,
Mhm.
where he was just on commentary and refusing to speak English, and you had Corey Graves attempt.
Right.
He's like, oh, he just said, "Shut up, Saxton."
Even though he didn't say. But you brought up another name that I'd love to know what's going on. Where the heck's Rusev?
Rusev's taking some time off. Finn Balor's taking some time off.
Well, Finn, we know he got married, didn't he?
Finn
Yeah.
just got married. Yeah, congratulations, Mr. Fergal.
And he's joined the Bald Head Club. Did you
The
see
Bald
that?
Head Club. Yeah.
Yes, he's joined
Yeah.
my society now. So I've got now the great Finn Balor, part of my club out there. So, all right. So that's that one. Now there's one other tag team match, and it's on the ladies' side, and then we can move on.
Oh,
from
we
there.
also don't forget the Revival versus New Day.
That's what- yep.
Never forget the Revival.
No, never going to forget. Never going to forget the revival.
FTR does not stand for Forget the Revival.
What do you make of Bliss and Cross taking on Rose and Deville?
I love Nikki Cross and I love Alexa Bliss, and as long as they're relevant in the spotlight, I have no problem with that.
I see a turn with Alexa, turning
On
on,
Nikki?
her on Nikki.
That I agree with. It's time. It's time for that.
It's not time. They're
Those two as a tag
adorable.
team just don't do it for me.
Well, and look how much Bliss used Nikki a little bit,
Absolutely.
But
during
they
some of the
got
matches.
their own shirts now. They got shirts with both of them on them. They got a little ragdoll Nikki next to the red doll. Alexa, I want that shirt.
I think you know what, of the 4 ladies that are in that match, I mean, we all know everybody's going to bring, have their own style, but I think they're missing the boat on Sonya Deville. I think
no.
she's long overdue for a little bit of a push, in my opinion.
I don't think they're missing the boat on her at all. I think she is poised to break away and do some amazing things, and especially break out of Mandy's shadow. But I think right now the women's tag division is so weak right now. I like having Mandy and Sonya in there.
Do you think the two of them though make the tag division stronger?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
I'm just throwing it out there for a question.
I don't want to see the two of them break up yet.
Okay.
I think they're one of the stronger teams in the division.
There's not much of a division if you think about
Not
it.
really.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
So I weaken that
There's
by
what, like 3-4 teams maybe?
Well, who's wearing the belts now? I don't even remember.
Nikki Cross and Alexa.
Oh, okay. I was just testing.
But we didn't notice that we spent more time talking about the women once again in WWE and their 2 matches or 4 matches.
Well, there is one thing that I mean, I know, Scott, you said earlier that the horsewomen are the ones carrying the brand and putting butts in seats right now. But I gotta say, like, I was really refreshed by seeing that Bayley Ember Moon match on SmackDown, because I'm not saying I'm sick of the horsewomen. I would like to see them move away from the horsewomen in terms of the championship title, because both titles are held by former horsewomen being competed for by horsewomen. I'd like to see the title move out of that horsewomen circle, at least one of them. Because, I mean, we do have former NXT women's champions in the mix. We have Asuka. We have Kairi Sane. We have Ember Moon. These are women who can go and who are entertaining if they just had a chance to shine in the spotlight.
But I don't think that Vince, or I'll say WWE, know how to handle Asuka.
Well, this is why I think having NXT as its own brand is going to be a good thing.
Speaking of talented women, where's Naomi?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen Naomi in, like, months.
Ever since she was drafted, I think she's shown up like once, maybe.
She hurt? Oh, we might have to.
As far as I know, I don't think so.
Maybe she's helping Jimmy deal with his DUI problems.
Oh.
They
Anyway.
could actually do a replacement if one of them never showed.
Exactly.
Matt can fill the listeners in on that one.
Hey, a couple of quick shout outs. My co-host on Twin Brothers from Different Mothers, Neil Portnoy's out in the chat room. And Bam Bam. If you guys like flat track women's roller derby, have you ever seen flat track women's roller derby?
I actually used to date an OC roller girl when I was back in Orange County.
All right. Well, this Saturday night, the 14th at 7 p.m., the Atomic Roller Girls will be in action, and I have to pull it up. It starts at 7 o'clock. The location is down off of Okendo, and the name of the location is escaping me right at this second.
Throw it in the chat room.
Third of the and bam. Give me the name of the place again. I'm drawing a blank. It's down on Okendo, and I should have brought the flyer with me.
Plug yourself in our chat room.
Yeah, well, she is. So Bam, put the location there for me. I can't remember the name, so I'm blanking out on me here. So do that for me. I will be down there, and actually, I will be providing some mic commentary. So I'll be having fun down at roller derby. So
You're cheating on
You
me with
are
other commentary
everywhere.
teams.
listen. What can I tell you? But this is for the women.
Don't talk to me.
This is for the women.
I like to do things for women too.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother show.
But you're here.
But you're here. Exactly. What does that say? What does
I
that
remember you
say?
and Vampiro doing some commentary.
Hey,
Steve Nagel from New Jersey just joined in.
It's a
So
pain issue.
I'll tell you what, we got the country pretty much covered here from coast to coast tonight.
Absolutely, and we thank them for listening.
Absolutely. And anyway, okay, so let's get off of that card. What's next on the horizon you guys want to talk about? We got a lot going on. Oh, you know what? You talked about this before, and I didn't mean to jump back. I apologize. We have been not talking about one performer that is scaring the daylights out of people.
I think it's awesome.
So let's talk about that. I mean, what's the end game with Bray Wyatt / The Fiend?
I don't know where the end game is, but I think the sky's the limit for that character. I think the sky's the limit for Bray. It's kind of hard to say, like, somebody who's only wrestled one televised match in this persona, but that one televised match was just so unlike anything we've seen in the last 5 years. So unlike anything I've really seen in WWE.
Well, if you think about it, it's the Sting character all over again.
In a way, but just, I mean, it's like if Sting and Sin Bodhi had like a weird hybrid love child.
Sin, if you're listening, do you have an illegitimate child that we are unaware
Right?
of?
That's right. That's
With
right.
Mike Rotundo.
just the way the Bray has totally become a whole new persona, And the way he was moving in the ring at SummerSlam against Balor, I mean, he was doing a lot of Sin Bodhi like things, which I loved. You know, it was entertaining. It was new. It was fresh. It was, I think, what WWE needs is they need something a little different. But yet at the same time, because Bray is so over, they want to hot shot him right into that title scene.
Right.
They could play off this if they do it right for another 6 months.
I'd rather than build it. Yeah.
Bully Ray was talking about keeping him actually off of TV for a while to build up that mystique, to build up when is he going to
Sure.
strike next, you know, because there was talk that maybe he was going to hit Stone Cold Monday.
Yeah.
Then it became talk. He put something out there on Twitter about maybe Orton because he was talking about rattlesnake skin
Or the
Yeah.
Undertaker.
or the Undertaker, you know. So I think keeping him in mystery is not a terrible idea for a long time in terms of when he's going to perform in a ring other than just the sneak attacks.
When we talk about him, Firefly Funhouse, does that actually help his character or hurt his character? I think it hurts.
does.
I think it hurts.
I think it helps because, I mean, I'm really enjoying the Firefly Funhouse. I really am.
It kind of gives him that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde approach to his
Yeah.
character. Right?
Yeah.
True.
I like the dichotomy, that whole duality of it, you know, the good Bray and bad Bray kind of thing. And I do think Firefly Funhouse helps because it gives him a mouth. You don't want to see him talking as the Fiend.
Right.
The Fiend is a creature of action, so to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like the way he's playing the regular everyday Bray Wyatt character. Like, oh, don't wake the Fiend up. The Fiend's
Right.
a bad person. You know
Right.
what? The Fiend does bad things to bad people. Like,
Well, isn't that like Finn Balor and the Demon? I mean,
Yeah,
you have
it's-
Finn and then you have the Demon.
Yeah.
You know,
but this is like the dark side of what Finn and the Demon
Right.
could be. Like, Finn and the Demon are both like obvious baby faces.
Well, you know they're going to play that off when Finn comes back. Demon versus the Fiend.
at some point.
Hey, it's better than Demon versus Sister Abigail or whatever that crap. God.
Hey, Ambam, thank you for sharing. If you guys want to attend the women's Atomic Roller Girls Flat Track Derby, it's called the Fallout Shelter. I knew it began with an F. I just couldn't figure out the rest of it. 3600 West Okendo. Doors open at 6:30. The bout will begin at 7. Tickets are available. Just go to the Atomic Roller Girls Facebook page. And again, that's at the Fallout Shelter this Saturday, 7 p.m. Thank you. I'm plugging everybody.
Right.
This is show plugs.
Hey, that's what
Thoughts
we do.
count anywhere. We're anywhere.
We like to support the community. If you got anything going on in the community, if you're in a band, we'll put you over.
And we have some news coming up soon once everything's official about Big BVW, Big Valley Wrestling is going to be doing a charity event coming up next month. We don't have all the details lined out yet, but you and I were just notified about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like BVW and you and I are going to be at the Taco Fest event in
Yeah.
November, the 2nd and 3rd. We're going to be on commentary eating tacos.
I'm gonna enter myself into the taco eating contest.
So we're about town. These guys are all over the place. Everybody's out there supporting one another. Teresa, thank you for resharing the feed to your wall. We appreciate it. So things are just smoking along tight. The chat box. You're welcome, man. Bam. We'll see you Saturday night. I love the new hair color, by the way. It's great that we can get out there and support other organizations and talk about them a little bit.
Well,
you know,
we're very pro Las Vegas, very pro city podcast. So, like I said, we're not just about wrestling here. We love the city, and we want to always put a spotlight on things going on in town because this is a fun town,
absolutely,
There's always
absolutely.
something going on over here.
right?
Speaking of which, can I plug my other podcast on Saturday?
Go for it.
All right. Saturdays, 12 noon. Twin brothers from different mothers, Neil Portnoy and I. Every Saturday, we talk about everything that there is to talk about, not only in Vegas, but around the world, except for 2 topics. No politics, no religion. So tune in 12 p.m. right here every Saturday and like our Facebook page, just like you're going to like this one. Thoughts Count Anywhere. Twin brothers from different mothers. Check us out or come down to the gallery and sit in live with us, 1537 West Oakey. We love fans. Like we love fans walking in. People walk by. We are now projecting this show not only in front of us here on a laptop, but courtesy of Scott and Power Play Sports, there's a monitor that shoots out into the mall. So they're seeing the same thing you are. And it's great. People are stopping by and they're coming in and we're waving to them. They're talking to us. And it's great when the live people come in.
I feel like I'm in radio doing a remote spot again.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's great when you're on site.
Mhm.
So, okay. What's next on the agenda there?
Well, real quick.
Oh, wait, Fiend. I kind of cut into the
yeah,
Fiend.
one-
I don't want him sneak attacking me.
few more thoughts on the Fiend. It's
Yes.
like they want to hot shot him into the title picture for Hell in a Cell. I disagree with this. One, I don't mind seeing the Fiend at Hell in a Cell. I think it's thematic. I want to see the Fiend in a Hell in a Cell match, but I don't want him in the title picture because that kind of telegraphs where you're going to go at Clash of Champions. Is Seth going to retain?
Right.
Because I think it would be an insult and a slap in the face to Braun Strowman to put Braun Strowman in a position where he can win the Universal title and then lose it a month later.
Right.
I think that's a slap in the face to Braun, especially all the hard work he's put in over the
And
past
worse
couple
yet to
years.
Bray, who we started with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, I think it really damaged Braun Strowman most of all. You know, if Seth Rollins retains and then loses the belt at Hell in the Cell to the Fiend, that's fine. But at the same time, you wonder, what kind of champion would the Fiend be? Would he be showing the belt every week? Would he be? I don't want the Fiend as a champion.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of the greatest WWE superstars have
Never had a belt.
Gone their entire career. Roddy Piper went his entire career
The best.
without a belt. Dusty Rhodes never had a belt in WWF. You know, you don't need a belt to make a good character. And I think Bray is so far over right now, he doesn't need to be in the title picture. I want to see Braun Strowman win on Sunday, and I don't want to see him
Drop it a month later.
drop it a month later.
So if that happens, then what happens with Seth? Where do they go with Seth next?
You know, Seth will always land on his feet. Seth is unbelievably over right now as well.
hmm
You know, whatever storyline they give him, I think.
Maybe he goes to Raw next against Kofi if he retains. You know, next month when they get on SmackDown on
Well,
Fox.
Well, see, this is another thing. Is like Kofi Mania has it run out of steam yet? Do you see Randy Orton winning on Sunday? Like, because eventually we know all champion reigns have to end.
Sure.
When is it a good time to say, okay, Kofi's been champion long enough. He's had a good run. It's been a respectable run. He's had a few really good title defenses. When is it okay for Kofi to drop the belt and not piss everybody off?
Can we look at the sales of T-shirts?
Yeah, we can look at
That-
t-shirt sales.
That's where it ends.
Because he was getting a good response at MSG.
Oh yeah, it was.
Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, Kofi's
so-
still. I mean, and the fact that they recreated the table spot from 10 years ago, I
Mhm.
thought was
That was
great.
pretty cool.
I thought it was going to be reverse. I thought Randy Orton was going to put Kofi through a table, and the fact that they but see, that also leaves me very, very scared for Sunday because usually on the go home show, if the baby face gets one over on the heel on the go home show, usually the heel's going to win the belt on the pay per view.
I think we're gonna have a new champion solely because of the Fox deal. Once they seem to like switch networks to go with a safe champion that know they can deliver, and what better champion than Randy Orton?
Now, if Kofi,
Everybody knows who he is. He always has good matches, got great promos.
I wouldn't say always has good matches, but there was a
Yeah, ask Brock Lesnar.
basically when
that
Randy's
wasn't Orton's fault.
when Randy's a babyface, Randy really likes to phone it in. Like I said last week, he's a natural heel. He's just not a nice
family was heels. It's in his
Yeah,
blood.
It's in his blood. It's in
Just
his
like
DNA.
Charlotte. We talked about that earlier.
True.
I mean, Charlotte's a heel.
Yeah, Triple H. I unless he's with DX, I don't buy him as babyface at all.
Right. And you can see the difference when he's out there with Shawn Michaels and they're doing the DX thing to
Yeah.
what he does normally as the game. But that's a
Yeah.
great point.
I don't buy Randy Orton as a babyface ever. I don't buy Charlotte as a babyface ever. You know, just some people are like, even heel Bailey. It's going to be really, really hard to stomach because it's like, how are they going to use her that way?
Right.
Like
I can't stand Bailey in general, honestly.
You're not a hugger.
Go away.
I heard she's actually not a nice person backstage.
Really?
I heard she's very much a perfectionist and like.
Can we trade her for a certain like Impact women
Who could that be?
wrestler?
The only person on that
Tessa?
TV.
product that actually carries the product.
Wow. Hey, Fox is still.
I know you're not talking about Taya Valkyrie, right? Actually, you know what? If I could cherry pick any woman from the Impact roster not named Tessa Blanchard, I would want Rosemary.
Hmm.
I think the stuff Rosemary's doing, she's basically like female Undertaker, female Bray Wyatt. Like, and
Interesting.
I like her gimmick. I like her character. She's one of the only things about Impact.
I take Sue Young.
I'll take AJ Lee if she should ever come back. Sorry, I digress.
Well, we're speaking of Impact. We have a so-called girlfriend, I guess girlfriend. It's out there in the public, who's at the Performance Center. That being Scarlett.
Oh yeah! Congratulations to Scarlett Bordeaux.
Mm.
Hope that tryout went a whole lot. Hope it went great.
Mm-hmm. She's got the look.
Is that
Got the
connected to
skills,
somebody
man.
else we know?
Possibly.
I think that I don't know. I think when she was released, that might have been a little reaction, right?
Absolutely. That was
So-
a slap in the face to somebody not realizing the fan base and the fact that they have nobody but Tessa on their card that draws.
Exactly. All right, last question. As they make the move to Fox, there was talk about changing up some of the commentary teams, and Renee Young maybe pulled off Raw to just host the studio show, things like that. what kind of shakeup you want to see in commentary. I'll be personally, I'm tired of seeing Corey Graves on both, but I think that's one of the things Fox is changing. They want commentary specific to a brand. They don't want somebody like that back and forth.
See, I like the heel face dynamic on commentary. So if they do take Corey Graves off of SmackDown and just make him Raw exclusive, who would you put in that spot? Because I can tell you one thing: if it's just Byron Saxon and Tom Phillips,
No.
That's a boring combination.
Yeah, no, I agree
I
with
don't want
that.
that.
I agree with that. Who could you put in there from a heel perspective?
I mean, Nigel McGuinness is great, but I like him on NXT with Morrow.
Right.
Absolutely. What about Adam Pearce?
Is he a name though that people would want to listen to on a commentary position? I don't know.
Coachman? He's still around. Jonathan Coachman.
Coachman but Coachman does a lot of stuff with ESPN still. So he kind of
He's
straddles. the
super
line.
But he's a face on ESPN. Does Fox utilize that?
Right.
It's true.
You talk
That's
about
a good
mainstream connection there, mainstream rollover. I don't know.
Do you think they're going to bring in somebody from the outside? Because I heard there was rumors a few months ago of Daniel Cormier doing commentary for
An
SmackDown.
MMA guy?
Yeah, and MMA, but
Well, Joe Rogan, who is a comedian by trade,
I
is
love Joe.
covering MMA. So who knows?
I love Joe Rogan.
Interesting question.
That guy's
Interesting question about that. So, all right, let's get off of Raw and SmackDown. What else we got?
How are those Impact tapings, guys? I know you guys went.
Matt, I'll let you start.
Oh, dear Lord.
How many people saw an Aviators game to actually get in the door there?
They took chairs out of the arena.
Wow.
Half the stands or risers, whatever you want to call them, were blackened out or
Jeez.
covered up. The matches, I personally sat there and was bored until, TJ Perkins came out, had a great match. I hate the gimmick he's got with Falabala.
Dabba, dabba, dabba.
Exactly. But
Congo Crush.
you could tell the crowd was waiting for Killer Cross to come out.
Yeah?
Being in Las Vegas,
Right on.
what a bad move that was, including not selling the T-shirts out front. But the crowd waited for Tessa. That's exactly what happened. And when they actually put a battle royal before her match,
Jeez.
Wow.
That's not good. That's like
Matt,
planning.
you tell me your thoughts. I mean, Impact, in my opinion, is a dead issue.
I don't know how they're still in business, honestly.
You bring Johnny Swinger in, who's mid-40s, granted, great shape. Nobody knows him anymore from his WCW days, and they give him a prime spot, put him on commentary. What are you thinking?
When it started off with that yellow dog, like,
Yeah,
peeing on the guy and, he was
and
selling
humping
it,
the ref at the end of the match.
Wait, what?
I knew it was going to be bad
Yes.
Wait,
right from the start.
There was a yellow dog, ears, floppy ears, tail.
like Pluto.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
And at the end of the match, he humped the leg of the referee.
Was it a real dog or a guy in
It
costume?
was a,
The match was a real dog.
Oh, wow.
It's funny. As soon as Tessa wrestled, you watched like half the 150 people leave right off the bat.
Wow.
Another name that's in the indie scene and Lucha Underground, Willie Mack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here in
Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Right.
Halfway through, well, after Tessa's match, I left, and Willie was sitting at the Subway eating dinner with his lovely significant other,
Jeez.
Was Brian Cage there?
Brian Cage. He's my buddy.
I like Brian Cage. Actually, a huge fan of his.
Brian Cage will not be invited back to Lucha Expo
Okay.
because of incidents there. You will never see him in my store because of incidents here. We will
Ooh.
continue on.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I feel bad for him because of his injury, but he can't work anymore. He needs surgery. And for his sake, or I should say his children's sake, stop taking the bumps
But he is still Impact champion though. Yes.
till the next match because he's got to drop the belt.
Okay. I mean,
Speaking of Cage and Melissa, they had like that wedding reception thing for them. Every fan in there knew they got married like 6 months ago, so everyone was just grumbling about how stupid it was. I can't believe that was the main event of a taping.
well, what about that chant you were telling me about?
Free Killer Cross.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's funny. They were trying to get everybody to cheer "This is Impact," and there was a counter chant of "Free Killer Cross" that was 10 times louder.
You
So
do know
they
how,
had to do this Impact chant for like 20 minutes to
Jeez.
get it on stupid TV.
you do know how serious they take it with Josh Matthews is watching the football game versus the monitor and doing color commentary.
Oh no!
And Matt can verify that because we saw
No.
it right behind him. So that's how serious they take their work.
Oh man,
Wow.
that's bad. That's bad enough.
We just kept yelling, "What's the score?"
Hey, I just want to remind everybody, thank you for watching. You notice on our table, there's a couple of wrestling things. You got a beautiful WWE replica of AJ Styles belt, and it is autographed, is it not?
Yes.
Right.
I'm looking at it right now.
And in front of Johnny, we have a.
Superstar Billy
I
Graham.
actually saw him lose his belt to Bob Backlund in 1976 in the Garden.
Oh wow!
God.
And in front of me is Steve Williams. So these are just some things when you come down here to Power Play Sports Collections that, if being the wrestling fans that are out there, got to come down and check it out. Signed autographs. You got things like this. Got to come down and check out. And hanging on the back wall is a Diva Championship, right? A women's championship
No,
belt. Is that the Raw?
That's the Raw Women's
The
Championship.
Raw Women's Championship. Is that signed?
That is not, but
That
I'm sure Johnny's gonna like grab it and run it around the
It-
store.
I was gonna say, I could
if I
sign
ever
it.
meet Alexa Bliss, I'm going to get her to sign it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
hot for
Alexa
Alexis.
Bliss autographs in here.
Yes,
Yeah. By
I
the way,
do
they're
have
all
the
sold.
largest collection in the West Coast of wrestling autograph memorabilia. We've
There you
got
go.
about 500 trading cards and probably about 1,000 photos.
Yeah, if you come down to a live taping here, we usually give away a free grab bag. So
That's right.
And Chief over there got his free grab bag. It had 2 or 3 Hall of Famers in it,
Oh, yeah,
including Jake the Snake,
Jake Snake was in there.
just for showing up.
Vampiro was in there.
You said Hall of Famers?
Hall of
Oh,
Famers.
Oh my
I-
goodness.
I wasn't just naming Hall of Famers. I was.
Okay. God love Vampiro. Ian, love you.
Well, if you want to watch or see what else is available, you can just go to their website, of course, at www.powerplaysportscards.com. Look them up on Facebook, Power Play Sports Cards on Facebook. You see what else is going on. Or, like Matt said earlier, come down here this weekend, right? We have Braden McNabb coming down for a signing yard, courtesy of Power Play, right here in the
50
mall.
different vendors selling cards to toys. Everything you want to probably find in sports cards
And didn't know you
memorabilia
needed.
and toys.
And
It's
right?
here.
So I noticed we're running a little low on time. Do we want to talk about Ric Flair?
Yes, let's do that. By the way, David Orlov, thank you for joining. Best photographer in Las Vegas. Ric Flair. I don't really know how to read-
to now.
Yeah, I mean, suing the WWE for Becky Lynch using the man. I don't know. I think that's a little petty, in my opinion. I mean, he's just signed a big deal with Adidas that now he wants to bury Nike, right? So
No, that won't happen.
no, I mean,
It's some kind of money grab.
I was just
It's
what I was
gotta
thinking.
be.
It's definitely a money grab. But I don't think either party is handling it well. I don't think WWE is handling it well, and I don't think Ric Flair's handling it really well. I think this is going to be like Sony versus Disney, take two almost.
Hard position for Charlotte to be in. Would you not agree, guys?
It's a very hard position for Charlotte to be
Says
in.
she's pretty mad at her dad for
Mm.
doing all this.
Well, you have a gimmick that's really over. And I mean, if you think about it, his connection to Becky's character is minimal. It's fringe at best. I mean, yeah, the whole to beat the man, to be the man, you got to beat the man kind of inspired that whole gimmick. But Becky's kind of made it her own and run with it, And I think like if Rick had a problem with it, he should have said something when it started last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's I think he's just getting some bad advice from somebody, whether it's a financial planner or a manager or something. I don't know who Ric Flair's getting this advice from, but I mean, his statement that he came out with was just so ludicrous, where he's saying, oh, well, when I was in the hospital and almost died, almost 2 years ago, which was a big scare for all of us as fans
Sure.
too.
Sure.
But he's like, I just realized I need to leave a nest egg to provide for my family. I'm like, you're one of the richest, most well-known, recognizable.
Not after 5 divorces.
I was gonna say, not after those divorces. he
No,
ain't.
okay, understandable, but I mean, the thing is, he can still get sponsorships like the Adidas thing. He can still go out there and make money even at his age. He doesn't need Vince's money, and he doesn't need to do this.
I think Charlotte has her own nest egg by now.
Yeah, Charlotte can take care of Dad. I mean, come on, they're living on dual income if you count Andrade's. So.
I honestly don't have the man gimmick. Every hardcore wrestling fan knows where that came from.
Yeah,
But the kids nowadays are buying it from Becky, because how many of the kids in the stands remember Ric Flair at Georgia Championship Wrestling, Mid-Atlantic? They don't.
They
The
don't.
long
Not the
hair.
current- yeah, not the
there's
current
no-
audience.
No.
Not the current. We're not the current audience.
well, I mean,
that's
if
for
you
sure.
think about it, what if Billy Graham sued Hulk Hogan? I got Billy Graham right in front of me here. What if
I'm sure he is right now. He's suing everyone.
For what? For what? On what pretense?
It's straight up gimmick infringement. You can't tell me that like Hulk Hogan, the Listen Up brother, was not superstar Billy Graham.
All right, the phrase maybe, but he didn't use it as like the man as a title, like Becky's doing. I mean,
like everything from the bleach blonde to the handlebar mustache, that was superstar Billy Graham.
But then there's Buddy Rogers,
Yeah,
and then there's Buddy Landell. I can't even.
that's true. How many actual nature boys are out there?
Exactly.
Could
Wrestling has been known for stealing everyone's gimmick. So if anybody in wrestling thinks they own their own gimmick, we have a wrestler here that thinks he owns his own gimmicks. But every move, every namesake, every gimmick has been used before. Don't think you're special.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like having like Broseph Joe Brody. Shout out to AJ if you're listening. It's like having Broseph Joe Brody sue Matt Riddle for using the word bro. I mean, like come on.
Well, you mentioned Bray and I mentioned Sting.
Yeah,
it flies back to that. By the way, I think it's going to end up being Bray and Matt Hardy's last run.
yeah. Hardy, I think he looks great in some of the pictures he posted physically.
But we haven't seen him in a ring yet.
No, exactly.
But those two together could be a classic.
Absolutely.
Oh my God! If they brought the Fiend in with broken Matt Hardy, like
Oh, my.
oh man.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to let everybody know that if you'd like to be part of the show and you'd like to be an advertiser or sponsor, supporter, so we can share your messages out there, we have openings really coming, starting in October, and prices are very affordable to get your message out in front of hundreds of people within 1 hour, not to mention with all the platforms that we have for people to hear forever and ever ongoing on podcasts. So if you're interested, drop an email. Matt, what's the email we want to send people to?
thoughtscountanywhere@gmail.com.
There you go. So if you're interested, just for talk, just for chat, see what's available, worldwide audience, wrestling fanatics and beyond, let us help spread your message of what you have to go on out there. So contact us through that email and we'll reach back to you.
I'm just thinking about what if broken Matt Hardy showed up on an episode of Firefly Funhouse.
Ooh,
How awesome
that would be
be?
great. that would be, and then you had
WWE writers, did you hear anything?
right, exactly. And then you had Willow to the package at some point.
Oh yeah, or Brother Nero.
Or Brother Nero. Yeah, there you go. Oh my goodness. We should have the pencil in our hands, by the way.
Right.
So
Since
I
they just
heard-
change it an hour before the show.
I heard they're
anyway.
trying to shake up creative. Maybe we should throw our hats in the
I was
ring,
gonna say send in a couple of resumes.
right? Hey, maybe they're looking for a new heel commentator.
There you go. Or brand new commentators for that matter. I mean, they're shaking everything up.
That's right.
All right, guys. Like Johnny said, we are kind of coming around the clubhouse tourney. We only have a couple of minutes left in our hour. Again, we want to thank everybody for watching. Final thoughts on anything, right? Thoughts count anywhere. Could be anything you want to throw a thought out on. What do you think?
Antonio Brown's a piece of crap, and I'm glad he's not going to be affiliated with our city.
There you go. All right. There you go. Little thoughts on AB, which I can't disagree with. Matt, how about you, sir? Any final thoughts on anything? Anything across the board?
The one news story that kind of caught me off guard was a TJP and Bellator. I didn't even know he was like.
Wait, is TJP an MMA fighter?
I didn't know this.
Yeah. He signed a contract, right?
He's in like contract negotiations. He was gonna take a fight, but he said it was like too soon of a notice. But
CM Punk needs something to do to lose again.
Yeah,
the
really.
easiest opponent of all time.
Yeah, really. Maybe TJP is looking to fight CM Punk. Who
Yeah,
knows?
but that's UFC versus Bellator.
Well, I know. Well, but you can have dream matches.
According to Dana White, he ain't under contract anymore.
Oh well,
Who's that, Punk?
Punk.
maybe he got released because he was terrible.
Never say never.
Well, they only fought what 2 times in like 5 years or something. I mean, only had a couple of fights, a
Yeah,
couple
he
of
got
bouts.
his ass kicked in
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see his face after the last one?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He did not look good at all, to
He
say
looked
the
like
very least,
Grimace from McDonald's.
because he was grimacing throughout the match, throughout the bout too, for crying out loud.
Man,
Scott, final thoughts. Sir.
Final thoughts once again. Thank you all first responders out there. And for the Las Vegas crowd, it's getting ready. Go Knights, go.
There you go. It's coming around the turn. They're practicing now, right? Practice has started.
Practice starts.
Hey, could you imagine coming to Las Vegas, coming to a casino on the Strip that has absolutely nothing to do with gambling, but has a theme that's health related? Did you guys see this new casino that's being planned on the Strip?
Yeah, I say 6 months over under.
wait,
No.
what is this?
Well, what they're doing, think of a really big health spa.
okay.
All right, nutritionists and saunas and salt rooms. No gaming, no gambling,
So it's a resort.
basically. But it's the entire theme though is geared towards health consciousness. Healthy foods, nutrition, spas, gyms, the whole thing. It's on my Facebook page if you want to check it out. But that's the newest.
The Silver Slipper would bankrupt because they went away from smoking.
Well, but I think we'd all have to admit though, the health craze of some people today in a niche. It is a niche.
True.
I mean, there's a lot more now that's so health conscious. No smoking in the casino, which a lot of them have adopted anyway. Who knows? I mean, might
Might be a
take.
good idea to open this weekend since the Olympia is going to be
I
in
don't-
town.
I heard that the Olympia posing stuff is in town, so it'd be interesting.
I
That's
don't
some
know
cool
if that would.
names at the
I
expo.
just I don't know if that would work on the strip. I mean, location.
I'm trying to think where they said. I think it was going to be. I want to say it was somewhere near, like the convention, not the convention center, like where the Rio was. Kind of, there's some open land somewhere back there.
Is that the one that's like across the street from the Palms that they're starting to build?
Well, that's off the strip. I don't know. I think they said it was
I
going to
heard
be on
it,
the strip.
it was on the strip
Yeah.
also. I'm thinking
Oh,
it's more
gotcha.
towards, we'll call it the old SLS because they had to go
There
back
you
to the Sahara.
Back to the Sahara. There you go. So it's going to be up in that way. And of course, right behind all that, by the Link area, they're still building that MSG, Madison Square Garden related theater. So it's going to be basically like MSG West. So it's
Okay.
it's designed for concerts primarily. No sports yet, but it's basically being designed for a lot of entertainment locations.
Just what Vegas needs, another concert venue.
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't have enough here. Like corners on Fremont Street aren't enough for people performing. You know what I'm saying? So and I'm
You're
yeah,
performing on Fremont, right?
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Exactly. All right. So guys, I think we're
Matt's
just
got
about
his
done.
little circle reserved.
He's got-
What happens in the
Papers.
circle stays in the
Oh
circle.
my goodness. Well,
Are you- don't tell me you're the guy out there in just the baby diaper and the shower net.
oh my gosh.
Pictures
Yes,
are it
Cupid.
didn't happen.
That's Cupid. My goodness gracious. All right. So next time you join us next week at this time, we're going to be talking about the fallout of Clash of Champions and what's going to go on after Monday and Tuesday on Raw and SmackDown afterwards. And then after that week or 2 weeks later, oh no, I think NXT makes its debut next Wednesday.
Yep.
While we're on
Yep.
the air, I believe NXT will make its appearance. So we'll have that show to talk about the following week. Just go to our Facebook page, Thoughts Count Anywhere on Facebook, and we're going to be posting news, thoughts, comments, ideas. We want to hear from you about what like you hear us talk about. Yeah, maybe if there's a question or stuff, we'd love to air it. Perhaps Mr. Power Play Sports, if somebody posts a question on our Facebook page and we actually use it on air, perhaps maybe we can get them a little something.
Absolutely.
All right, so there you go. So there's a little contest. Post a question out on our Facebook page, and if we use it on the air, then you will get a little something here from Power Play Sports. So we have it right here from the owner. So, you can always go back to this as proof that he said it. So, all right, guys, shall we do it? All right. So
Yeah, let's get out of here.
for the four Thoughtsmen, I love that. For Johnny, for Matt, for Scott and myself, I'm Aaron. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week right here on Thoughts Count Anywhere. Have a great week.